Forums. I'm Mars Girl.
I'm Josh Knight the First.
This is Season 4, Episode 19.
Or Episode 89, if you're counting.
I'm sorry if there are any issues with Twitch this evening. I think I have figured them out. Although finding a server with little to no jitter is really the problem. And I think I have found the appropriate one, but hopes and prayers that there's no crashes today, and let us know if there's any other streaming issues, and we will take care of that ASAP.
Yes.
Yes, very yes. As always, thank you to our Patreon contributors who always help us make it through this series and others coming up, and the movie that we're debuting in 2 weeks.
Yes, less than 2 weeks now.
Less than 2 weeks now. Really, really excited about it.
Remember, April 15th over on this channel, sometime in the evening. We haven't nailed down a time yet.
I have a time in my head. I think I would like to get that time out within this next week.
Yeah, so we will be sure to let you guys know what time that's going to be, but definitely the night of April 15th. You can't forget that. That's tax day for most of us who pay taxes.
In the United States.
In the United States.
But yeah, that is Farewell or Saraba, Fami Common Writer. And I'm excited to debut that to you guys. To those of you who are over here on YouTube, I guess you're not here with us right now, but thank you for watching as always. We miss you guys over here in our stream on Thursday nights at 9 p.m. Central, whatever time that might be where you are. I'm sorry, I'm not going to do the calculations for all time zones, but yay!
Yes.
Thanks for sticking with us as always, even though sometimes we have to work some crazy stupid magic in order to get it to you because Twitch crashes on us as much as it does. I don't think it matters where we go, whether it's Twitch or Hitbox, wherever it is, there's going to be some problems. So, we're working on it. One day we will solve it, and I'm sure some of it is bandwidth issues that we...
More than likely.
Yeah. So, what else has been going on this past week before we talk about other stuff?
Well, it was fun to me. I don't know how much fun you had. We went over to a friend's house earlier this week to watch the spectacle that is known as WrestleMania. WrestleMania 31, I believe, was this past weekend, and we were watching that over at a good friend's house. And it was funny going into it because, you know, I used to be a real big wrestling fan, and now not so much. You know, not having cable has most to do with that, and I haven't gotten a subscription to WWE Network. You know, why? But it was nice going in sight unseen, but being able to pick up right where the story was and all the matches and things like that. And it's still highly entertaining. Of course, you know, there's been any number of reactions to things going on, matches here and there, like, oh, that was really fake, but oh, that was really well executed. Like, yeah, that's the kind of thing you show up for.
I saw stuff that was really obviously like, yep, this is a show, and it's meant to be a show, and that's about all it is. And so it was kind of, because I so don't wrestling at all, but there is something entertaining to be said about being able to see, oh, I see how you're putting on this show. That much I get. I'm never going to be a big, you know, follow this storyline kind of a person. But what was really kind of more interesting was pointing out a whole bunch of just really nerdy kind of things that have kind of seeped its way in.
A little bit, yeah.
And I think the most obvious, of course, was the over 9,000 shirt.
Right.
Like,
So
that was the most plainly obvious, but I'm not even just talking about that. But yeah, you can.
Well, no, yeah. For those of you guys who don't know, so at WrestleMania, Triple H and Stephanie McMahon, who of course are the couple running the company right now in story, are out there running their mouth about how the company is all theirs and, you know, blah blah blah. And then The Rock, who had just hosted Saturday Night Live just a few hours before, came out to be like, hey, you don't own these people, respect these people. And they were like, shut up, get out of the ring. And then over at ringside was mixed martial artist Ronda Rousey, who was like one of the most deadliest women on the planet, who just
deadliest?
Yeah, she's like
most deadly.
Most deadliest.
One of the deadliest.
Yeah, most deadliest.
Okay, English is not your strong suit. Got it.
Okay.
Okay.
Anyway, so she's there at ringside, and she's got this Vegeta over 9,000 shirt. And they put the camera on her early on, like, hey, look at one of the celebrities here at ringside, which they sometimes do. But then The Rock decides to call her up out of the front row, and then they have a little scuffle with Triple H and Stephanie in the ring. But what was awesome about it was, one, it wasn't the fact that, just the fact that, you know, you've got this awesome mixed martial artist basically telling off the person who you're hoping gets told off, but the fact that she's doing so in a shirt I would never expect to see on national TV 10 years ago. Mm-hmm. It shows how much DBZ has seeped into the culture there. Well, it's cool to wear that.
Again, nerdy kind of related stuff seeping into WrestleMania was kind of just surprising to me. Now, maybe that's because I have no idea what the wrestling scene looks like these days.
It looks like any other scene. There's people from all different walks, but I think what you're talking about is the sign in the audience.
Well, there was the Waluigi guy out in the middle of everything. I love that guy. I don't know who he is. Somebody told me who he was, but that it didn't really mean much to me, but I love him. And and it just seemed like everything about it was like one of the worst shonen, young boys manga or anime that I'd ever seen in my life. And, it was funny, I guess? Maybe that's what made it so entertaining, because it was like, man, I have seen this in, every anime ever.
Well, yeah, tropes don't change across genres. Mm-hmm. What works in, say, One Piece or Naruto still plays over in the WWE universe. When somebody's down on the ropes, and then their friends come to their aid, and then one of them betrays them, but then somebody decides to stop being a villain, and they have a change of heart and feel the justice stirring within them, and then start to fight back. That's all stuff you see in wrestling. And that's what makes it so entertaining. That's America's shonen anime in its own way.
Yeah, I guess you have a point about that.
That's why it's still highly entertaining to this day.
Yeah, I'll never praise it for being wrestling, because everybody knows it's not, except for maybe tiny children, but...
Tiny children who love John Cena.
Tiny children who love Cena. Adults who hate John Cena.
Yes, that's the thing.
In any case, I guess that's about it for what's been going on, unless there's anything else we haven't covered that we need to cover. In which case, we'll just talk about...
We have a show.
We'll just talk about the topics that we're going to be discussing here in a few minutes on the program.
Yeah.
Our first story coming up is in relation to Godzilla, and this is Toho Godzilla, so this is not American, Toho gave them permission to do it, Godzilla. This is Toho Japan is doing more Godzilla in the near future, and the people they've got directing those titles might surprise you.
Oh, don't clickbait
I'm a
this.
Clickbait
don't clickbait this, please. Spare.
But I don't really want to give it away right now.
Alright, fine. So our second story, of course, just recently we had another Nintendo Direct, and they've got a lot of actually really good information coming out about new games, new innovative games, and a lot of old games being now made available virtually on the Wii U console, and we'll talk a little bit about that and the other things coming along with it.
And then finally, our third story is going to be in regards to yesterday having been April Fool's, and I kept away from the internet for the most part yesterday. However, for as dickish as people are capable of being, some people were just plain funny and not a dick. Some things are just cute and funny, and you can tell that they're not real, and you get a good laugh out of them. So we're gonna cover some of those and kind of spare you from dickish things.
Yes.
Yes.
Spare the dick.
Okay, I can't follow you there.
Okay, speaking of following, follow-ups.
I hate your segues. I hate your segues.
Let's just go into the follow-up section. Okay, so speaking of Attack on Titan, it was announced today that there's going to be a spin-off TV series that is set within the universe of the movie. Which the director is also doing there, and several of the cast from the movie will be in that.
Interesting.
Such as Rin Takeda, who was in High Kick Girl, Ayame Misaki, who was in Go Busters, and Shun Watanabe, who was the main character in Kamen Rider O's. So that will be coming out on DTV starting in August, so it'll be right around the time the first movie is released.
Cool!
Yeah, it's nice. They're expanding out the universe there.
Yeah, I still haven't seen the end of the first universe, and so...
but still, it's interesting. It's television. You want to market stuff, it goes into television.
Okay, I'm really just kind of focused on the one thing.
I get it. So, also, speaking of television, we've got some new news for the spin-off...
So, news.
New news.
News. The word new is in it. So
but it's... point being... we've got more news.
Yes.
More casting news about the CW spin-off series from The Flash and the Arrow, and we've got a couple more cast members to tell you guys about. First off is they're bringing in a different iteration of Hawkgirl, who is going to be played by Ciara Renee, who's a Broadway actor. She'll be playing not the Justice League animated version that some people are used to. She'll be playing the Kendra Saunders version of Hawkgirl. So that's one character.
I'm less familiar, admittedly, with that version of the character. So.
As am I, so I can't really say much about that. But also the other person that has been added to the cast is actually Arthur Darvill, who people would, of course, know as Rory Williams from 2 seasons back of Doctor Who, one of the Doctor's companions. And he will be playing a time-traveling character as well, who I'm also not as familiar with, but he's supposed to be very, they say very roguish, Han Solo-esque to his character, and it would be nice to see him doing that. I always feel good when I see an actor in one piece of media expand out and do other things, and, he was really good in Broadchurch, 2 seasons of that, and now he's going over here stateside to do the CW show, so yeah, props to see him expanding his career.
Yeah, I don't know much about him.
You probably will. You'll see his face plastered everywhere.
Oh, I will eventually, yeah.
They pump out.
It's not even a
No, he's not Booster Gold, but people are saying...
Oh, I wish they would cover Booster Gold.
They're saying there's a very high chance that we might get Booster Gold down the line in this series.
I want Booster Gold so bad!
Did you ever see the Smallville episode that had Booster Gold?
You keep telling me to see it. No, I haven't.
Because that was
Because I didn't like Smallville, thus I missed it.
No, I get that. So also, talking about the DC-ish universe, there's going to be another animated Batman movie from DC Animation, but this one happens to be set in the TV 1966 Batman universe, and they've got both Adam West and Burt Ward set to voice for this.
I'm actually really excited about that, because one, I love DC's comic animation style to begin with, and to be able to see 66 Batman... like, as if perhaps it were just another longer, extended episode of the series, but animated? Like, that atmosphere must look really cool. I'm really interested
because the thing about it is, there have been times where they harken back to that in every little piece of animation here and there. Mm-hmm. And mind you, this isn't the first time Adam West would have voiced Batman in a cartoon. He used to do it, back in the old Super Friends cartoons.
And occasionally with Scooby-Doo.
No, actually, that was a different voice.
Was it?
Yeah, that was a different guy.
Whatever.
But before that, he might have done it at... No, it was Super Friends. It was Super Friends he did that. He didn't do it for Scooby-Doo. But point being, it's going to be set there, granted with finally, last year, the release of Batman 66 on DVD, and then the ongoing comic series. DC has finally allowed themselves to tap into this resource, and now, we're seeing more of this merchandising and... movie property come out of it, and I'm just overjoyed about it. And of course, go out, get those DVDs, do yourself a favor. You can get them at freaking Walmart now. I never thought I'd see the day, but I'm happy the day is here.
Yep, and you kept talking about buying bootlegs for a while.
Well, yeah, because for the longest time that was my only recourse, and now I can do it legally.
Admittedly, I get it, because for over 40 years, there was no other option.
No. Okay, so moving on to other news. We've got some updates about the 6-episode revival of X-Files. David Duchovny has gone on record on Late Night with David Letterman to say that just about every character we didn't think was... Late Show. He more or less confirmed that every character we weren't sure was going to show up is showing up. Mitch Pileggi is coming back, the cigarette-smoking man is coming back, Doggett is coming back. Like, the only person he didn't mention by name was the lone gunman. Mm-hmm. But other than that, everybody that was a part of that show, a main cast member, is coming back for the 6-episode run on Fox.
Very interesting to shove them all in such a short run. I'm almost concerned.
I can see where the concern would come from, but at the least, knowing that everybody involved is still involved, I can't see that but a plus. That's got to be a good thing.
Yeah,
you wouldn't bring them back and then ruin it.
No, likely you wouldn't.
Because, you got a lot riding on that. In other news, this isn't CW related, but of course, Stephen Amell plays, the title character on The Arrow. Well, now we found out that for the Ninja Turtles sequel movie, he's actually going to be playing Casey Jones.
Is there something wrong with that? Like,
I don't know.
If I should
It's
be
like,
concerned about that or
I don't know. It's just the visual of seeing the Arrow with Megan Fox. It just doesn't look right together. Like, I don't think they would have very good chemistry.
I think you just don't like Megan Fox and don't want to see her macking on anybody.
This is true, but...
Yeah, see, like I don't...
Because you sat through that movie, too. Was she a good April?
She existed. Like, I didn't think she was bad. I think she fit the tone of the movie, which was not amazing. Granted, I didn't think it was the worst Ninja Turtles thing to ever exist, and I could have sworn it was gonna be. I thought it was gonna be the worst thing ever, and then it turned out it was just...
tolerable.
It exists. And thus, Megan Fox as April O'Neil, exists. So, to me, it doesn't necessarily matter who Dudeface is playing alongside, so long as he just kind of does his own good work there. Like,
yes.
I really don't care. Like, forget putting him against Megan Fox. Like, don't even picture the two of them together. It's not worth it.
Yeah, but they're gonna be together.
Yeah, and you'll have to picture it eventually, but he will do cool stuff on his own. Like, don't even worry about it.
Alright. So, moving on to other news. In Suicide Squad-related news, they've casted actor Adwale Akinwumi Ajbaye. Like, it's very hard. It's a very long name.
You should have practiced that before you...
I thought I had it, and then I tongue-tied. Point being, he's playing Killer Croc. Now, here's the thing I'm wondering about Suicide Squad. They keep saying, hey, we've added this person. Who are they playing? We're not telling you. We've added this person. Who are they playing? Not telling you. We've added this person. Who are they playing? Killer Croc. Like, they're adding more and more people onto this thing and revealing more, but every time they do, for some reason it feels like they're padding it out. That way, if this thing goes south, you can shift blame to multiple people.
You think
like multiple stories, and that way they can't say, oh, well, the reason Deadshot didn't work is because they had to give time to these lesser characters, or the reason Joker didn't work was they had to give time to these other characters, and then blame it on overstuffing rather than bad writing. That's just the idea I get from it.
Well, the overstuffing is clearly going to cause bad writing. So, actually, no, they can't say that. The overstuffing causes bad writing. Because you can't write... For, like, I'll take, for example, I've been playing through Final Fantasy Type 0 HD recently, and there are so many characters, and they don't allot enough time for any of them, which is really sad, because, you know, for example, Final Fantasy VI had a really large cast of characters.
But that was very well done.
One of the larger casts of characters of Final Fantasy has ever had, but Type 0 HD is not doing a very good job of making me care about each one of the characters. And I'm concerned that this is the direction Suicide Squad is probably going to go in. And that's... Yes, it's overstuffing, but overstuffing means bad writing.
I would agree to that.
Yeah.
So, speaking of things that had a lot of characters in them, so we've been talking to you at length about this Heroes Reborn project that NBC's been trying to get off the ground, and they've already got quite a bit of a cast reassembled, and so far, or thus far, Jack Coleman, who played Noah in the original run, was the only original cast member to be coming back. Well, that has changed. Just this past week, it was announced that Masaoka, who played Hiro Nakamura, has signed on to come back and reprise the role.
Wasn't that 2 weeks ago?
No, it was this past week.
No, whatever. All right.
It was right after. It was the day after we did last week's show.
Oh, that's why it seems so long.
That's why it seems so long ago. But I wasn't sure if I was kind of interested in watching. Now I'm there. I am so there because I will go back to when the series originally aired. Hiro was me on screen. Like, the way he was reacting to everything in the world, that's how I would do it.
Well, the reason
why
you still have Wednesdays off of work is because you asked for Wednesdays off regularly for Heroes, right?
No, when it was originally coming out, it was on Mondays.
Yeah, but then it switched to Wednesdays, didn't it?
No.
Eh.
No, the first season I asked off specifically... no, I switched my classes around. I had a class, and then I canceled it. Like, I told work, hey, I've got a class on Monday. And they're like, oh, yeah, okay, we understand. You don't have to work Monday nights. Take that off my schedule. Heroes. And I was there, and I was watching it. Like, that character spoke so much volume to the nerd culture that loves watching the hero stuff, that loves hero worship.
Which is funny because the creator was like, you know what, I hate comics.
Oh, Tim Kring, yeah. Which is funny because, like, Hero became, like, the character, you know. He was the audience's lens to see this world through, and he was the most innocent, most pure character for the most part. And they kept to that all the way to about season 3, and then they kind of screwed with him. But hopefully that won't be a problem anymore. They've written him better, and it's going to be great because Hero's back.
You're really hoping.
I am so really hoping. So hoping.
So is that it? Because we're more than 20 minutes
Yeah,
in.
I know. But the last piece of news, and it's very minor, Macy Williams, who is on Game of Thrones as not Sansa, that's the other sister. Point being, she is on Game of Thrones. She's actually going to be guest starring on an episode of Doctor Who.
Okay.
Well, there's kind of this...
I watched neither one of those
I know, but there's kind of this running thing between some people who've been on one show end up showing up on the other show, and then vice versa. So it'll be interesting to see. Okay. It's happy news for me and Arya Stark, that's right. Arya Stark. She's going to be the one on Doctor Who this season. I don't think they've said which episode yet or what role she's playing, but they say she's going to give the Doctor trouble, as you kind of figure. So looking forward to that this coming season. Now they're done.
Okay. So, Godzilla.
Dun, 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 dun.
You're in the wrong key.
Dun, 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 dun.
Yeah, you put yourself back in the right key.
I fixed it.
You fixed it. So what's the information about Godzilla? We've got new directors for new movies?
So the way it works is that Toho had said Final Wars was going to be their last Godzilla movie for a while. They were going to let the franchise rest. And then when enough time had passed, they were going to bring it back and, of course, you know, take the reins back up for this franchise that is known now worldwide. And, of course, the beginnings of that were last year's Godzilla movie over here with Warner Brothers and Legendary. And, you know, there was a lot of success with that. So now Toho is like, all right, you know what? It's time. We're going to do this. So they've announced, yes, 2016. Oh, no, I'm sorry, 2018. June 8th of 2018 is where we're going to get the Toho new Godzilla movie, and they have two directors for this. One is Shinji Higuchi, who is the director of the Attack on Titan movies, and also that live-action one that I just mentioned at the beginning of the show. And the second director is none other than Hideaki Anno, who infamously directed Neon Genesis Evangelion.
Yeah, so as you can imagine, this is sounding like it's gonna be a friggin' warped Godzilla movie.
It's gonna be dark, and it's gonna be scary, just based off their work.
It will mess with your brain, I'm telling you. The way these two write and direct, their imagery, I'm telling you, is more than just big things that are scary to look at. It's going to try and tell you something philosophical, I bet you, and try and make you sit for a second and question, I am a human, but as a human, am I doing the right thing being a human? You know, this is the kind of imagery that
it'll
these
definitely
two names
have more
kinda gives
depth
me.
than last year's movie,
to
say the least. Now, the thing about it is, they're just one guy who directed a series about giant robots, and it's this other guy who's directing this movie about giants. That's nothing. No, put it in context here. One, Hideaki Anno is a noted tokusatsu fan. Old school, loves Ultraman.
Yeah, so Ultraman was giant monster of the week. In fact, you go back to Ultra Q, which kind of launched
Ultraman.
The Ultraman series and franchise. The very first monster that shows up in the very first episode is, in fact, a Godzilla suit from Toho that they were given permission to use, and then they modified it a little bit, and then they called it a completely different monster.
Right.
So if that tells you anything, like, they give each other their blessings because they're giant monsters.
But really the thing to take away from that is back in art school when Anno was just learning, you know, how to animate or, you know, make his way in animation before the whole Daikon thing, he did several student projects where he made his own homemade Ultraman short movies. And then more recently he did, what was that one? The Giant God Appears. This short, it's kind of a tie-in to Nausicaa. But he did it with miniatures. He was very specific that he wanted to not lose the art of miniatures because, you know, as tokusatsu goes on over in Japan and really over time, There is more of a preference towards using CG and more computer effects, but he loved growing up in that age where, no, it's done with miniatures, it's done with figures about this size, everything is in scale, and he appreciates that. He gets that.
And in fact, really, most Japanese people would say, you know, looking at this most recent Godzilla movie, I don't think anybody especially hated it, aside from the fact that Godzilla himself only shows up for like 7 minutes.
8 minutes.
8 minutes. Ooh, big difference.
It's a whole nother minute.
Whatever. Japanese fans, some were quick to say, well, it's not Godzilla if it's not a practical effect Godzilla like a dude in a rubber suit. Some were quick to say that. So I am wondering whether going back directly to Toho, and especially in allowing Anno to do the directing, will he choose to go for practical stuff, suits, miniatures, whole 9 yards?
Yes.
You think so?
I totally believe that they're going to go for practical. Absolutely believe it. Now, the other thing to take in mind, that's Anno. Just for starters, you look over at Shinji Higuchi. He was an uncredited assistant on The Return of Godzilla. So he's worked on a Godzilla movie before. But besides that, he directed the Gamera trilogy. So this guy already has his feet steeped in giant monster movies, in kaiju movies. Like, if you've seen those, like, if you ask, you know, our friend Matt Burkett, you know, he will go on and on about Gamera, how that's some of the best kaiju action you could hope to ask for. And you can get them at some Walmarts, right? The Gamera collection?
Oh, yeah.
And it's like
Gamera
$15. Go do it.
Far more accessible as of late. I'm not sure what caused that change. Perhaps just because I'd be willing to say America was kicked back into a love of giant monsters again thanks to last year's Godzilla, I would imagine.
Well,
yes,
yeah.
Perhaps.
I would
probably.
imagine. Now, the thing about it, too, is, you know, it's not like these two guys don't know each other. They work together on Evangelion. So, you know, we know these guys know their stuff as far as it comes to kaiju film. They've also got a working relationship. That's also important. So, really, from there, and of course, they've got Toho's blessing. Toho's like, well, we need somebody to bring Godzilla into this new era. It's gonna be you guys. We know your work. Go at it.
Right.
And yeah, I can only imagine the kind of things they're going to be bringing to this, because yeah, the Legendary Pictures Godzilla did kind of push the bar as far as scale is concerned. You know, the way they use the city. Granted, he's only in there for so long, but it was well done for an American movie. Now Toho has to take that and be like, okay, this is what you guys do. Let's show you what we do. Let's show you how Japan does Godzilla.
Right.
So I imagine we're definitely going to get minimum 2 monsters.
Oh, for sure.
Minimum 2 known monsters.
There's gonna be fights. There's gonna be monster fights. That's not even a question.
Now, I don't really want to bring this up necessarily, but Higuchi here did direct something. He directed Pistol Opera.
Oh, no. It's gonna be a mind warp then.
Then it's gonna be a mind warp.
It's gonna be a mind... Like, okay, well, I'll give you guys this much information. Every so often somebody asks me, because you tend to ask reviewers this for some reason, you ask critics this, like, what is the worst movie you've ever seen? And I tell you this answer not to encourage you to go out to watch it, because honestly, I would never, ever encourage you to watch it.
Oh, no, actually, I take it back. He worked on the effects for Pistol Opera.
Okay, so...
But still, kind of that warpy stuff.
But Pistol Opera is the answer to that question, and that will sometimes make people curious and go, "Whoa, well, I have to go out there and see it." And I'm telling you,
no,
like, we're not encouraging that train of thought at all. We both hated,
absolutely hated.
Could not get our time back.
2 hours of my life I will never get back.
Brains were leaking out of our ears.
Now,
like, it was so not enjoyable.
Yes.
One of the least enjoyable experience. And I am one of these few people, and you'll see a number of them, like, through Channel Awesome, who will, like, go out and look for the bad stuff because they think it's funny to do that. But this was not funny.
No.
This was not bad funny. This was not funny bad.
No, it was... Now, I brought that up to be kind of counterbalanced to yeah, there's a possibility this could be bad. But of course, these guys have a history of work that also works in their favor.
Sinking of Japan.
Yeah, he did the remake.
Oh, that one we watched.
Now,
yeah.
if you've ever seen a movie called Sinking of Japan or Japan Sinks, depending on where you watch it, that is a awesome action disaster popcorn flick.
Also considered a tokusatsu movie, a
Yeah.
special effects movie, based on a novel, and I guess there have been 2 movies and a parody movie.
Yes, Everybody Sinks but Japan, which you can find in several parts on YouTube. I don't think anybody's licensed it.
Yeah.
And, of course, he did storyboards for the Casshern live-action movie. He did storyboards for the Rebuild Evangelion movies, and he did storyboards for Kill la Kill. So this is a guy who knows spectacle, he knows action, and he knows what effects are going to work.
Yeah.
Because you think back to Sinking of Japan, all of that was done very, how do I want to say it? Realistic would be too easy, but it looked natural. Like, nothing looked incredibly fake.
Yeah, I get you.
And that's really what you want from a movie like this. You want to be able to feel the ground shake when Godzilla's stomping around, or Mothra's flapping the wings and then things are going flying off, or King Ghidorah's bearing down on you. Like, you want to be able to feel viscerally, no, this is a real place, this is a real thing happening. And I know that's a feel they wanted to get from last year's Godzilla, but I think these guys are a little closer tied to the franchise, to the genre in general, and I think they're really going to hit it, out of the park.
Yeah, I would agree. I'd absolutely agree.
So really, I've got nothing but high hopes for this thing. I
am eager to see more. This isn't one of those situations where it's like, I can't make a judgment until I see more. This is me actively wanting them to provide me with more because I'm eager to eat it up now.
Yes. So yeah, all I'm doing is waiting now. They've got the teaser image, which you guys are seeing here on the screen, which is of course Godzilla's print there. So I don't know if that tells us anything about how he's going to look. I imagine awesome looking guy in a suit, and I'm fine with that.
All right. That's it then, huh?
Yeah.
All right.
So we'll move on to our second story, which a lot of people are going to like. Nintendo.
People like Nintendo,
People like Nintendo.
So I was hesitant to watch this Nintendo Direct yesterday because, after all, yesterday was April Fool's. But as it turns out, there was nothing about this that was a joke. There was nothing April Fool's-ish about this.
No, it was business.
It was all legit. Thanks, as always, Iwata. You always manage to bring the information. So, a lot of that information was Amiibo-related. I am not personally one of the crazies going after the Amiibos, and we have
I've seen
we have some of those fiends, like... Some of those fiends are our close friends who are like, there's a new wave of Amiibos! Oh my god, it's friggin' mine! They were like, for example, talking about the release of Splatoon and all of those different new modes that had not yet been introduced for Splatoon, which is very family-friendly.
Shooter. It's a shooter.
Shooter.
Call it what it is.
That involves paint. But now they're also talking about Amiibos being released for Splatoon, which involves 2 characters who you can buy separately, but the Squid Dude, you can only
get in the pack.
him in the 3-pack, which is probably going to force those collectors just to buy the 3-pack anyway. But then again, if they're collectors, then they were going to buy the 3-pack anyway.
Right, because otherwise how else were you going to get it?
Yeah, so, Splatoon legitimately looks fun, although I will say, I think because it has shooter-style elements, just because it's not violent-looking doesn't mean it's not going to bring the same kind of douches if you go and you play competitively.
You mean like people who
online.
do Call of Duty or Gears of War, those kind of dude bros.
Like, I don't know if it's going to be those exact guys, because those exact guys probably actually do not own a Wii U. I will... Yet.
This might be the thing that pushes some people to get a Wii U. Now, mind you, a lot of the announcements that were made kind of makes us... Because we were debating, next gen, we need a console. Alright, so we were going to go Wii U... Xbone or PS4, and we got
went
a PS4.
For PS4 because there are a lot of titles specifically there. Most immediately, I wanted to go for Type 0 HD and also play the demo for Final Fantasy 15. So that seemed like the obvious choice for me, like in an immediacy sort of feeling.
Right.
I always have wanted a Wii U, but now some of these titles are like, nope, I'm going after it. Like, especially the idea of the release of N64 and DS titles on Virtual Console.
Because people have been saying, like, can't you guys give those to us? Would it be too much to ask if we could get those games back? We would pay for them. And it's like, oh, you guys want to pay for this? All right, here you go. Here's Donkey Kong 64. Here's Super Mario 64.
Well, I'm super excited about how the control scheme works, actually.
Well, yeah, because, like, you can choose to either play it between the screen and your control pad, just the control pad, or just on the screen. And either way, it looks like...
And sometimes you can, like, tilt your pad, you know, lengthwise to play your game, so it looks like you got...
For the DS titles.
For DS titles, so you've got two windows going on, or you can play N64 games directly on your handheld screen, and just like, hey, that's pretty awesome.
And they're affordable.
If the game had rumble pack capabilities, then of course your controller's gonna rumble, like that just plain makes sense. That's good. That's good.
But you saw the price, though. They're not overcharging. It's like...
Not especially,
you know,
I
anyway,
suppose.
$2 to $10, like, yeah, that's reasonable. Somebody would put that down. They'll make money back on that almost instantly.
Right.
You know, like, well, it kind of took a little extra to put this out. You'll make it back, Nintendo. Don't even worry about that. That's probably why you're doing this in the first place.
Yeah.
Easy money.
So, as some people are mentioning, yes, there is the announcement of the 200cc category being implemented into Mario Kart 8.
See, I already suck at Mario Kart as it is, and now...
I can't 150cc, I'll tell you that much, and win, certainly not against a number of our friends, but, man, like... blazing speeds of 200cc. Like,
well, it was even the way they were displaying it on the screen. Like, well, we started out with 50cc, and that's for everybody. Then 100cc, it's a little bit more challenging. Then 150cc, you really should practice for this. But if that's not enough for you, here comes 200cc's.
Yeah, I imagine like R2-D2 squealing as he's flying. Yeah, that's kind of the image I put in my head, and I was like, here's something I'll lose at instantly. Like, I would try it, but I will lose. It still looks like awesome fun. Plus...
I'm gonna lose.
Plus the addition of... We kind of all saw this coming, but... Of course, a variety of amiibos also have the ability to unlock various costumes for your Mii characters. So that includes Mega Man X's costume, that includes Proto Man's costume, and a variety of others. And yay!
I really
like you need like I'm not an amiibo person.
Well, so like I'll collect like the little Summon Ride figures because that's my thing, and I get for some people that's their thing, you know, collecting these little amiibos. But I think the cool thing was the announcement of that. What is it? That Yoshi game?
Oh yeah,
Yoshi's
his yarn.
Yoshi's Yarn, yeah.
Yarn. Sure.
Their amiibos are actually going to be made out of yarn.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, okay, that's pretty cool.
The imagery looks very much like Kirby's Epic Yarn.
Yeah, it's basically the same game.
I wouldn't say it's the same game. Like,
it looks pretty similar.
It's visually just about the same game, but it is not the same game. A Yoshi game plays significantly, well, maybe not like somewhat differently from a Kirby game.
So they're a little more connected than you think, huh?
Well, they're both made by Nintendo.
I got you. Okay.
What do you want?
No, but
what do you want?
Yeah, but my thing is when Yoshi's Woolly World comes out, like I'm imagining, because there's always going to be some douche trying to capitalize off it, that somebody will be able to like knit together fake Yoshis and be like, hey,
fake Yoshi yarn amiibos. Yeah, because that's another man. Like they stuffed amiibos into this Nintendo Direct, and yeah, the yarn. Yoshi was one of them, and I was like, oh, that looks so cute and soft.
And I'm like, no, there's gonna be knockoff yarn Yoshis immediately. Like, somebody will show it like, hey, I got this, you know, used out of box, and then somebody's gonna be like, oh, I'll pay for it. How much? $15 altogether? Yeah, give it to me. And then they get it, and then there's no chip on the bottom. Like, I see that happening very quickly. I don't want to see that happen and see somebody get ripped off, but I imagine that's a thing.
That will be very, very sad if that were to happen.
Yes.
I really don't want to see that happen. Of course, we learned more about Xenoblade Chronicles 3D. So
now, like, I've never played a Xenoblade Chronicles game.
Xenoblade Chronicles?
Yeah, I've
there
never.
is.
Okay, well, point being, see, that's how little I know about it. But that looked playable. Like, that made me want to play it. That trailer, seeing it all there rendered in 3D, made me want to purchase that.
Yeah, I wanted as well. There's now, of course, the Shin Megami Tensei and Fire Emblem crossover game, which doesn't appear to have, like, an official title. Just, yep, they're crossing over with each other. Yes.
Okay, but that looked good.
Fantastic looking animation, actually.
Because once you saw the Atlas title come up, you were like, okay, which Persona is
yeah,
this?
I was like, is this gonna be a Persona game? You look like Persona, and you know, to an extent it almost is, because Persona is part of the Shin Megami Tensei line.
Right, of course.
So, but I almost didn't recognize a lot of the Fire Emblem characters, like they were so well integrated into Atlas's playstyle.
Right.
You know? That's exciting. They mentioned super briefly, Bravely Default. Now,
or Bravely Second.
No, they didn't actually say Bravely Second, because here's the thing. Bravely Second is not confirmed to be a North American release. Now, if you were to have watched the Japanese version of the Nintendo Direct, they did in fact get a trailer for Bravely Second. We did not get that trailer for Bravely Second because they have not yet confirmed a North American release, and that is super sad.
Well, like, it sold well enough over here, didn't it?
I honestly couldn't say, you know, I feel like it was more sleeper, and anybody who played it was psyched about it, but it, like, maybe wasn't necessarily enough. But considering they mentioned both Xenoblade Chronicles and Bravely Default on the same screen at the same time, should kind of indicate that they're thinking about it. It seems pretty clear that they want to gauge, oh, you mentioned Bravely Default for like a second, where's our information about Bravely Default?
So they're going to be watching, like, social media and seeing who's talking about it. I could see that being a logical thing, because you want people to... If you're going to put out a product, it's smarter to know that you're putting out a product that people actually want, rather than just putting it out there and then expecting, all right, eat it. Why aren't you eating it? It's sitting there. We made it for you, and then you lose money. Yeah,
well, you know what's really sad is that that's their mentality going into never releasing the first Mother game, which is the prequel to Earthbound, and never releasing Mother 3, which is the sequel to Earthbound, and they're like, America won't buy it. And people have been clamoring for the Mother games.
See, that's just an example of them not listening.
Yeah, and there was a group of people who, for a week, sent them emails and faxes and handwritten letters, and they were like, now, let's not spam them, everybody send in just one, and they did a really good job, and they got word back from Nintendo saying, oh, if you guys had kept that up for more than just a week, maybe we would have actually brought over...
And I'm like, you douches.
They wouldn't have. They were just being dicks. They were just being dicks. So sometimes Nintendo makes good choices, and other times I don't think they necessarily know who their audience actually is.
No, perhaps not.
And I was a little surprised to not necessarily hear anything more about their mobile development, which we just heard stuff about, or even the slightest whisper of their next-gen stuff, which they already confirmed they're doing.
Well, they at least said they're working on it, so I imagine it'll be a bit longer before we hear anything about the next-gen stuff. But at least the mobile stuff, yeah, I'm surprised that they're not talking more about that. Because the sooner they get on that, the sooner they can get a piece of the mobile market. But as it stands, though, they've got plenty of stuff to work on here. They've got that Smash Brothers fighter ballot. You guys can write in who would you like to see added in, within reason, to Smash Brothers as a playable character.
It seems like there's a lot of people vying for Goku from Dragon Ball Z.
And I'm like...
A lot of people are doing it.
Really? Like there are other people... Like
they're specifically asking, what game is this character from? And I guess if you say, for example, he's from Tenkaichi Budokai...
Then yeah, that's legit.
Yeah, I guess, but... No, he comes from a manga and an anime. Like, let's not kid ourselves. He's not technically a game character. He's an anime and manga character that eventually got games.
Yeah. But it's all over the place. People have been voting for cool things. Like, I think one person I saw was voting for Captain N to be stuck in, and I'm
that
like,
would be kind of
cool.
interesting. Like, that would actually make sense. That would make sense.
Yeah, that would make sense. And, like, what was some of the... There's some really crappy, like, joke ones thrown in there, and some of them don't bear repeating on air. Let's just put them that way.
Yeah.
But yeah, it would be interesting to see them put Goku on there, but like I don't think I would want him.
No, like I'm sure somebody would, but Goku was in like that other big brawler thing that came out of Shonen Jump a while back.
Well, yeah, but that's because that makes sense in the context of, oh, he's a Shonen Jump
That game is really freaking good. That game should come over here.
It would be nice,
that
yeah.
game's amazing. I wish I could remember the name of it, but it's maybe somebody in here remembers the name of it, but it's nothing but it's just a brawler.
I want to say it's like
of a
something
whole bunch
All
of
Stars.
Maybe.
It might have been like Shonen Jump All Stars or something like that. I can't remember off the top of my head.
A bunch of Shonen Jump characters. It's an awesome game.
Yes.
Awesome game. Alright, I guess that's about... Like, we could go on and on.
Yeah, because they had way
Nintendo
more
Direct.
news than that, but we've got only so much show left, so we'll leave it there. And if you guys want, we'll talk more about it in the post-show.
Alright. So... What am I doing? Oh, yeah, it's April Fool's.
Okay,
so as we kind of said on Twitter, there were some things about April Fools that did not inherently suck. It's kind of become a thing amongst, people such as myself or other people we know, where we kind of would like to avoid the internet because we don't want to get our hearts broken over being lied to about cool things that we wish existed, or being mean to each other because somebody thinks it's funny, but not everybody did that! Some things were just good, clean, humorous fun.
I think it's worth noting that to start things off before we even got to yesterday, Wednesday, on Sunday night, John Oliver put this little video up from his Last Week Tonight YouTube page asking people to take an oath to not be a dick on April Fool's.
And tell other people not to be a dick. Yeah, which I think was a fantastic idea, actually.
Well, yeah, because when it comes down to it, April Fools should be more about, like, oh, you got me, that's cool. But then some people take it too far, and it gets very personal and hurtful. And really, I think it's not so much that they're anti-April Fools, it's anti-dicking on April Fools. We want to be able to have a nice, fun time. And so yesterday, a couple of things came out that were, yeah, that's kind of fun. Like, haha, that's kind of a cool thing. First thing I would bring up is Nerf put out their ad for Nerf darts that were made out of pretzels and cheese puffs.
They did that early in the day, and then halfway through the day, they were kind of being dicks, like, haha, what, did you actually think we were releasing ammo that was made out of food? And I'm like, you don't have to rub it in, jeez.
Like, we got it. Like, you didn't have to do that.
Yeah.
See, that was one that started well, and then kind of...
fizzled.
Yeah, fizzled, because you had something, and you could have left it. It was cool. Because sometimes with a lot of pranks, all you have to do is put the prank out there, and you don't have to actually go forward and say, ha ha, April Fools, because sometimes that'll kill it.
Yeah.
It can just be funny on its own, and then you leave it at that. Like, Google, they don't say, ha ha, April Fools. They just do something to their page, and then that's all there is to it.
Yeah, but when don't they do something to their page? They do something to their page almost daily.
Yeah, so, with the whole Pac-Man thing, it's like, yeah, that's cool, but yeah, I get it. That seems like something they would do on a day that had to do with Pac-Man, Like, it's not that big a deal. I know, for my money, one of the biggest things I saw was... It was funny because, coming from a background of cosplay, I know cosplayers, I love cosplay, I like doing cosplay, haven't had the time or the money to cosplay, but hopefully that'll change this year. But, I follow a lot of accounts on Twitter, Facebook, social media, things like that. And a prank that got out was people saying they were attending something called Cerulean City Comic Con, and a total of...
Which isn't real, of course.
But a total of 116, primarily female cosplayers, decided that they were all going to attend, debuting their brand new Misty cosplay from Pokemon.
And that they would all be official cosplay guests at this convention. 116 Misty cosplaying guests.
Yeah, and the Misties that were there on the internet ranged in variety from to dang, like it was all over the place. But it was a nice, harmless prank that was like, oh, I get, because you see one person post a Misty cosplay, and it's like, oh, okay, yeah, you're pulling that off pretty well. And then you see 2, and it's like, huh. And then it's 3, and then 5, and then 20, and then it starts growing and growing.
You know a handful of them yourself.
Yeah,
and so it sounds to me like they almost got you for a second, and then you saw a number of them doing it.
Yeah, because that was the thing. It was a private secret group that apparently were planning this about a month back. So, you know, yesterday when they did it, everybody just loaded them one after another, and that became the prank. Like, you don't realize you're getting pranked until it happens. Like, oh, there it is. Okay, all right, fine. And then yeah, it's harmless. It's fun.
Yeah.
That's fine. And then there was a couple of funny ones out of Japan, like saying a bunch of slowpokes escaped from the Slowpoke Research Center in Kanagawa Prefecture, and they've got all these pictures here of the different attendees there trying to get them.
Pull the slowpokes back into their facility. Yeah. One that I really liked actually came out of Sony and PlayStation.
Oh, yes, yeah.
Where they released a 2.5-minute video for, what was it? PlayStation...
Wet.
Or Swim. PlayStation...
No, it was Wet.
Well, P-Wet was on the back, but it wasn't called Wet.
Dive? It was something to do with water.
Where they suggested, to be even more immersive in games that involve, like, underwater swimming sort of stages, we're gonna use motion sensors that go around your arms and your thighs, and then we're gonna give you these goggles that project the game into the lenses of the goggles with waterproof earbuds, and then you're gonna go and play the game, you're gonna pause it once you get to a water level, then sync up the goggles, and then go to your nearest swimming pool and go swimming, and you will officially be playing very, very immersively in this game. Like, that one I thought was pretty good. I was a little disappointed. Somebody else too said they were disappointed with Blizzard, and I was too, because Blizzard for years was doing really good, like really in-depth April Fool's Day pranks, and it's like these last couple of years they've really just kind of done bare minimum.
Yeah.
Absolute bare minimum. Like, oh, there's a new Tinder app built into World of Warcraft. Here's some screenshots, and like they're not even good screenshots.
Yeah.
Like I'm just like, Blizzard, what are you even doing?
Yeah.
What is your life anymore, Blizzard?
And then I saw some pranks that just kind of fell flat. Like, I think one of the ones that I know in my fandom that fell flat was late last night. Somebody posted on a fan page over on Facebook a picture of Kamen Rider Double with the logo on the bottom that said Saban's Power Rider, and another caption on the bottom saying, "Guys, it's finally happening!" And this was like at 11 at night. So by this point I'm like, dude, you're just trying to squeeze one in before midnight. No,
yeah.
It's not happening. We already know. Just don't. Like, you would have been better off just not posting it. And that's kind of the other thing too. It's like when you're trying to get a laugh too hard, it's really like basic comedy. When the audience knows you're trying to get a laugh, then it doesn't elicit the laugh you're looking for.
Right.
Because it feels forced. It's like, come on, notice me. It's like, no. It would be easier if you just didn't do it. But then there was some interesting stuff. Like, I think the nice thing to look at was ThinkGeek this year. Because, in previous years, ThinkGeek posts stuff on their site, and then what ends up happening is there's this backlash because they'll invent something really cool and be like, oh yeah, that'll be funny, put it on the site, but then people are angry because they can't actually buy the item.
Well, it's kind of like, you remember that prank that they did for hoverboards. Now, this was not ThinkGeek, this was some other, it was Funny or Die, who put out, hi Cat, who put out this commercial for this hoverboard that was supposed to come out like late last year, early this year, and like it looked halfway real, except they screwed up and you could totally see wires in some of their shots.
Right, we talked about that.
And we talked about it at length last year, and like, if you were here, I was pissed. Like, you don't lie to people about something that people legitimately, like, really, really want. You don't do that to people. You just hurt them and make them feel sad.
Well, see, the case in point was last year one of the fake items they had for listing was a flux capacitor car charger, which feasibly they could have made.
Yeah, I looked at it at the time and I was like, you're telling me you can't make that? But that's the thing, then they did.
Eventually, several months later, they actually did it. So what they did yesterday was they put out a couple of fake items, which obviously weren't for sale, but then they put a little survey on the bottom of their page saying, hey, if you actually wanted us to make this, vote for the thing you see on this page, and then we'll consider it. Like, one of the things we saw was this about 6 foot tall Voltron cat tower, which admittedly, like, yeah, we've got the cat here that likes climbing on things.
Yeah, we've been talking about, man, we need to give the cat a place where she's allowed to climb, because she really doesn't have very many places here in this apartment to do that, but she just wants to be up high, as cats typically do. Cats like to look over their domain and think that they own it.
Right. And so the Voltron thing, it's like, oh, it serves two purposes. It's a place for the cat to get up high and look at the apartment, and we like Voltron, so, it's the best of both worlds. And admittedly, the list price was like, what, $190? But it's like, we could take the hit. It's Voltron. But then I think the other one I liked was the Power Wheels based off Mad Max.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I'm like, I wish I was still that young to where I could fit in a Power Wheel that had serrated edges on the doors.
And then you start to think, well, could make a kid and then put that kid in it, but then you also think, but that's not what you really want, is it? You want to be the one writing it. You don't want to put somebody else in it. You want to be the one in it. So, no, screw that kid. I want to write in that Power Wheel.
Okay, then we'll just put a bunch of kitchen knives on your new car, and then we'll do it that way.
Sounds good. Let's get to work on that.
Which is funny, because I had a friend who participated in one of these Draft House events where they had a fake Mad Max thing down the road.
You told me about that.
Yeah, and then dude ended up getting arrested because some people didn't know it was fake. So that sort of thing happens.
Yeah.
And that is meant to be a harmless prank, but it was taken too far by somebody who didn't have a sense of humor. Or really was just couldn't tell the difference between actual guns and PVC pipe on the back of somebody's truck. Some pranks work, some pranks don't. What you gonna do? At least for the most part, nobody got hurt. I didn't see any major death hoaxes yesterday.
Surprisingly, yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty alright. Everybody played nice this year. So hopefully next year we can continue that and talk about more fun, nerdy stuff and not